So, the main purpose of the presentation. I wanted to point out to you, first of all, that diversity and inclusion, whilst we're here this evening to talk about inspiring inclusion in the workplace, it's actually much bigger than that. It's actually a societal issue, and anybody who regularly watches, for example, the BBC News in the morning when they're getting ready for work will notice that it's something that comes up almost daily in the news. It's always on the radio, and there are various TV programmes that have been made about it. So I wanted to share some with you. The top image is actually something that was pointed out to me by a person in the room here today that recommended I should watch it. A television series called Butterfly that was recently on Sunday evenings. I'm not sure if anybody here saw it. If you didn't, get it on catch up. It's about a young boy who was struggling with his gender identity and the journey that his parents went on. We've also got, obviously, the first female Doctor Who, the image on the far right-hand side. And down on the bottom here, I don't know if I'm standing in the way a bit, but Hidden Figures, a fantastic film, came out about 3 years ago, I think now. Again, please watch it if you haven't. I learnt a lot from watching that film. And The Silent Child, which I've had to point out because it's actually from my hometown. So a young girl from Swindon called Maisie Sly. The film recently won an Oscar for the work that they do around deaf children and the support. And then we've got an image here because I know that a number of retailers have started manufacturing clothing for disabled people. Some of them have had not such good press, I must admit, but there's an image there from Marks and Spencer's. There's a YouTube clip of a young girl talking with her mum in Tesco about female versus male or girls versus boys clothing and the slogans that are included on them and how uninspiring girls' t-shirts are in terms of the messages that are given versus boys. When you're next shopping, just take a look at them because she had a really good point, and that's an 8-year-old that pointed that out. Meghan Markle, obviously, I don't need to say much more, but the amount that was in the press this year around how diverse our royal family has become. The University of Cambridge has recently admitted and called out for support from schools and parents because they've actually realised they haven't admitted a single British black student in most of their colleges in the last 5 years. And British Vogue making history for having the first hijab-wearing model on their front cover. You can read the rest. I'm not going to read them all out to you, but there's loads of it. It really is a huge issue. Obviously, we're here to talk about inclusion in the workplace. I've thrown loads of stats up for you. I'm going to have to look at my notes to read them out to you, but these ones I found particularly shocking. Just going to get my notes, sorry. So, David, there are more, in the UK FTSE 100, there are more CEOs named David than there are female CEOs. So there's an entire male name that is larger than an entire gender. We've got also 50.7% of people of working age with disabilities are in employment in this country. So there's a huge proportion of people out there who are looking for work and potentially have the skills for your organisation. Flexi Time in May 2018 was reported as the biggest and most popular work perk. So when everybody's doing their job adverts and they're talking about their benefits, or when they're shouting about them at interview stage, just be mindful that what you think is a benefit might not be actually what most people are looking for. Work-life balance is important, and even for millennials, not just people who may, potentially be at the age where they're going home to their families. 1 in 8 adults in the UK is currently caring. And 40% of job turnover happens in the first month of hiring. So it's crucial that you get your onboarding and your inclusion right. Finally, I won't go through all of them, you can ask me for them later, but 14% of workers feel comfortable talking to their managers about stress. And I think that's particularly shocking because actually, you know, most managers think they know their staff, and 14% is terrible.
So what does diversity look like in the workplace? So to truly be diverse, or to truly be effective, technical teams need to be diverse so that they can challenge each other's thinking, ensuring that the best technical outcome comes out of the products. So female workers, yes, we need more females in tech. So tech, STEM, cyber, agreed. However, they're not the only underrepresented group. Older workers, there's a push to get 12% more older workers in the workplace by 2020. We're all working for longer. We need to make sure that we've got those workers still engaged. Ex-military veterans, everybody recognises the work that the military and defence do. They have the biggest technology estates, and normally they're working with the widest range of technology. When these people finish their military careers, lots of organisations are now working and have a specific ex-military hiring programme so that they can very quickly onboard and pick up this talent. Neurologically diverse workers. So neurologically diverse people spot patterns in code and in numbers that we can't necessarily always spot. They will work until a problem is completely solved. Disabled workers. There's a great TED talk by Elise Roy that talks about disabled workers being able to create solutions that are safer for everybody. Text messaging is a perfect example of something that was created for deaf people that we all now use. Looking at different societal backgrounds, looking at apprenticeships and how we can get different thoughts and different backgrounds and different ways of thinking into our technical teams. Because if everybody looks the same and thinks the same, surely we're going to have blind spots when we're looking to create the best solutions.
Quite frankly, it makes sense. So it is simply the right thing to do. I showed you on that first slide, it's what society wants. For every 1% increase in gender diversity, a company's revenue increases by 3%. And actually, revenue can increase by 15% with higher levels of ethnic diversity. It does provide greater innovation, and diverse teams do perform better. I'm sure you've seen sentences and phrases like that when you've been looking at all of your D&I stuff. It offers a solution to the growing talent gap. It is shocking how much it costs to go to university now. Less people are coming out of the traditional routes. We need to start looking at how we can start hiring people into our businesses. It enables you to understand your customers. Your customers are diverse, so why not have diverse staff within your team? It boosts your employer brand. So when people are looking for work, they're looking on Glassdoor. They're seeing what people are saying about your organisation. People want to see that you have diversity and inclusion strategies. And if you don't manage it properly, you will fall behind your competitors. Several large organisations have said that they are asking now in any invitation to tender that they want to see a diversity and inclusion strategy, and they won't be working with you anymore if you don't have one. But above all of that, and this is what I truly believe, diversity inspires learning and inclusion inspires personal growth. I mentioned to you that I've been looking at diversity and inclusion for the last 2 years, and I can honestly say the amount I have learned in that time far outweighs anything that I was doing previously. I've met people that I never thought I would meet before, and I've just learned so much. 1/5 of 18 to 34-year-olds admit that they've actually avoided talking to a disabled person for fear of offending them. So let's start having diverse teams and let's start making people realise we are all the same. We are all people and we all want to get to know each other. When you're looking to attract talent into your business, and that's the area that Rosie and I specialise in, you want to write your job adverts. So before you do that, please make sure that you don't have any preconceived ideas about the role. And what I mean is, do you have the image of the person that you're potentially replacing in your mind when you're writing your job advert, or when you're screening CVs, or when you're interviewing? Have you already decided what type of person you want for this role before you've actually started looking at profiles? Have you asked your team to help you write job adverts? Get other people's opinions. Avoid discriminatory language. Everybody knows that you've got the masculine terminology, the feminine terminology, and that masculine terminology can put females off. We've all heard all of the statements about desirable skills putting females off applying for roles. But actually, it goes much further than that. Just be really mindful of direct and indirect discrimination when you're writing your ads. Automated recruitment processes. Does your AI tool allow for gaps in career history? Or if someone doesn't tick all of the boxes on the essential skills, are people falling out of your process? The structure of the interview. Have you got somebody else in the interview with you? Can you actually back up any decisions that you're making? And your benefits and rewards, and I mentioned to you, just be mindful that what's important to you isn't important to everybody. So when you are talking about your benefits package, list all of it. Somebody may be looking to leave their organisation because of the working hours, for example, but actually you might think that they just want more money. So just be careful. And also, I just want to point out there is a difference between a job advert and a job description. So a job advert is actually supposed to attract and entice people to the role. You have to sell your organisation as much as the candidate has to sell themselves to you in the interview. A job description is what you use during training and development and during appraisals. Just don't go into too much detail on the boring stuff on the adverts. Make sure that you word things in a way that's going to actually make someone want to come and work in your business. I've got some examples for you. This image I found on LinkedIn. So it's advertising for an administrator, and I just think they couldn't be more stereotypical in the image that they've used. And what that is unconsciously saying to an applicant is, this is the type of person we want to hire. Anybody who is male, over the age of 50, need not apply. You've got down the bottom here, I don't know how easily people can see it, but it's talking about the type of environment, and it's using things like competitive, fast-paced. You've got to work 9 till 5, evenings, weekends. You've got to manage multiple priorities. It doesn't make me want to work there at all. It just basically says you're going to be worked like a dog in this business. This one here, I'm not asking you to read all of it now, but the top of the advert talks about the things that are essential for the role, and they're actually quite a lot of them are soft skills. They really make it sound quite exciting. And then 50% of that advert actually says the following qualifications will enhance your application but are not essential. So why, if they're not essential, do they take up half of an advert? That again is unconsciously telling the applicant they actually are essential. And the one that's on the far right hand side, you probably won't be able to see it, but the reason I put it on there is because it really irritated me. I am an absolute perfectionist, and if you're gonna say someone's got to have attention to detail on an advert, don't spell detail wrong. I just think it's ridiculous. It's basically said someone's taken 2 minutes to write that advert, so that's how much they care about hiring you. Here's some good examples. The top right image is used as a stock image for every role that this client advertises for. So people come to remember it, so it's great for their brand. And also 50% of their benefits packages are related to diversity and inclusion. So they are telling somebody, we're getting it right and we know what we're doing. Put your logos on. So if you do sign up to Disability Confident, put it on there. Again, Tech Talent Charter, the same. Put your statement on to explain that you are an equal opportunities employer. And if you're going to be hiring for a role where you would consider somebody to work part-time or work from home, you have to actually put it on the advert. You're not saying, we'll definitely do it if you say that you'll consider it, but what you are doing is allowing anyone that needs to have that to actually apply for the role. And then the top one here is one that I really love, and it just goes into great detail about the application process, and it gives dates, so they're actually committing their end. You know, we will come back to you on X date, we will interview you during this week, and you will get feedback this many days after your interview. So again, it's just showing that they actually care about interviewing and hiring the right person.
So how does your new talent find you? Job adverts are great if the person you're looking for is looking at job adverts the time that you're actually advertising. Every business should be a great place to work, and your employees should be your brand ambassadors. So outsource employees do normally sing about working for outsource. We attend events, we attend meetups. Are you giving your employees the time to go out and network? Continue learning. There's plenty of technical meetups where you can keep learning about the sector and the area that you're working in. And it's a great way to find passive talent. Job fairs, security cleared expo for defence, returners, returning working mums. There's job adverts or job boards that are specifically for people who want part-time work. Having returnship days is another great way of looking at ex-military personnel or looking at people who are returning from a career break. Blogs on your website, pictures of not just the people who manage your business, the people who work within your business, showcasing this is a great place to work, this is a day in the life of working for us. Videos or video logs of people explaining the events that you do and why you are a great fun place to work. I have right at the bottom put recruitment agencies, and we can't get away from the fact we are a recruitment agency. But the agencies that you're working with, challenge them. How are they finding you diverse talent? How are they earning their fee? If they can't answer that, and all they have is access to these job boards and these job boards that you can do yourself, you really should be negotiating down on those fees.
Or come and work with us.
Or come and work with us. So, you've got your talent that's applied. Okay, how easy is it to apply to your business? Have you ever tried to apply via your website? Sometimes technology fails. Sometimes you can only apply to a business if they're currently hiring. So that's your first thing. You need to make sure that your recruitment process is as slick as possible and the candidates that are applying to work for you are having the best experience. So like Claire said earlier, are you clear about your process? If somebody applies for a job, do they get an automated email to say that they'll be acknowledged? How are you assessing talent? So Outsource runs M1Con, which is our Manchester event aimed at getting people who are interested in cybersecurity to come and meet and find out what the industry is about. So I'm just going to give you a little story. So we run a CTF, a technical challenge, which is aimed at guessing somebody's password. So there was a Twitter account and this person had lots of pineapples or kept referring to pineapples on their account. So obviously their password was pineapple. And at the same time, there was a technical challenge. So we had some great pen testers there to talk and show people how to do the challenges. The person who completed that technical challenge in 8 seconds, and the red teamers at Raytheon took 12, was an autistic PHP developer who had no cybersecurity experience. Now, in a normal recruitment process, if you were looking at that CV for your pen test role, they wouldn't get through. So this is a perfect example of using technical challenges as well as CVs, interviews, looking at different ways to assess talent. If you're looking for technical roles, have a think about what your organisation can do to make that assessment process more innovative. Right, you've selected your best person, you've made an offer. They've got 12 weeks to start. Do you think your competitors are going to stop offering your candidate? No. So you need to make sure that that onboarding process is as smooth as possible, and during that 12 weeks you keep checking in with that person. So assign a buddy, for example. Get them to meet the team, make sure you're keeping in touch with them. On average, a cybersecurity person will have 4 offers on the table, and they might accept your offer, and 3 that they've turned down might start to counter-offer, or keep, in one example, be texting the candidate to try and keep persuading them to come and work for them. So you'd need to make sure that your whole candidate experience doesn't stop or doesn't finish even after they've started.
I'm going to fly through this because we've massively overrun. I'm really sorry, Pearl. So unconscious bias, please do not even think for a minute that you don't have it. Everybody in this room has it. It's a huge, great big subject that I'm happy to talk to you about another time. But just because someone went to the same school as you doesn't make them the right person for the role. Just be really, really careful of the decisions that you make. And unconscious bias can affect the way that you listen to someone, the attention span you have when they're talking to you, even when they're in role, the way that you actually publicly recognise them within the business. Just be careful.
So just very quickly to run through, there is a skill shortage, so by attracting the most diverse talent, you will be able to hopefully reduce that. Upskilling, cross-training, allowing people to retrain in your organisation. If the company down the road is making redundancies and getting rid of 300 people, get out there and see if any of them can be upskilled to your environment. A diverse workforce means stronger technical solutions, and make sure that people within your business are really included and feel that they can bring their whole self to work, and that will help you retain your top talent.
I stole this off someone actually on a webinar that I was on, but I just loved it so much. So actually, you can't say that you're an equal opportunities employer and treat everyone the same. Just be careful of that. Talk to your staff, find out what everybody wants and needs. And managers, just be careful. Don't treat all of your staff the same way. You'll see on your desks there's a little worksheet and there's some pens for you. Throughout the course of this evening, if you pick up any useful hints and tips or any quick wins from any of our speakers or during the Q&A session, feel free to make notes on anything that you think you can take back to your businesses. Thank you.